Yo, what's up, besties? I just finished a 10-hour long stream playing the Phyrexia All-Be-One early access. And, I figured, since some of you were not able to watch or people just want to have a recap, I would just give you guys a video with my thoughts, on what I've seen, on the decks, on the cards, on cards that I felt were like, cards that impressed me, cards that disappointed me, and also at the end of the video, I put a little highlight, like reel of like my most fun matches, most explosive plays, like you name it. Just stay tuned for the end of the video for that. Also, in the upcoming days, I will be hopefully posting every other day, ideally daily, my brews that I build for the early access. So you have a new video daily with new decks, new cards, new mechanics, and just like my favorite decks that I've played during early access that I enjoyed the most and had a lot of success with. So stay tuned for that. Also, Ayo, if you enjoy the content that I'm putting out, you can, support me through Patreon. So make sure to check that out. Also for other Magic content in general. So we're going to start this video by going over the decks that I saw the most. Like, this whole video is from my perspective. It could be that another creator has a completely different perspective, but this was my experience playing for 10 hours. So keep that in mind. We're going to now start with the decks that I saw the most, that I played against the most. This is a top 5. And I'll also briefly explain how the deck works, how it plays, from what I've seen. And if I have a deck list, I'll put a deck list on there as well. So keep an eye on that. Could be in the description. Just look there. If I'm looking to like the left, this is where my notes are. Honestly, it's been a long stream and it's been a long day. So I need my notes. So sorry for that. Now keep in mind, it is early access. This means creators are trying out new cards, new mechanics, all that stuff. It is very rare that during early access people are, building tier 1 decks and then, or like copy pasting tier 1 decks, putting 1 or 2 new cards in it and seeing how it plays. People want to play new archetypes. So whatever happened in the early access doesn't have to be an accurate representation of what the meta will be like. So don't panic if I talk about Ivy World Priest combo being pretty good, because it could be that in reality it's not going to be good at all. So keep that in mind. With that being said, here are the top 5 most played decks in early access. Okay, so coming in at number 5, we have Selesnya Toxic Aggro, which is basically like an aggressive deck that works around like toxic synergy. So they'll be playing cards like World Priest, Skrelv's Hive, and Slaughter Singer, just basically trying to like attack with a bunch of toxic creatures. And if the damage doesn't do it, then hopefully like the poison counters will kill you. It's very simple, very straightforward, nothing special. I haven't really lost to the deck. I didn't think it was that good at all. I wouldn't be afraid of seeing it. I mean, obviously like these takes are very, if I like a couple months from now, I look back on this video and turns out being completely wrong, then, oops, well. At the moment, during early access, it felt very underwhelming, not good at all. But that was my impression on the mites in general. But stay tuned for that in the next section of the video. So coming in at number 4, we have Dimir Toxic Proliferate. And to be fair, this was my favorite deck of the night by a lot. And it was also one of my best performing decks of the night. Basically the way I built the deck, and that you'll see over here as well, because I have the deck list, and also see a video on, hopefully soon. Basically, you don't even have to attack. There's this spell for 2 mana, allows you to draw a card and put a toxic or poison counter on your opponent. At that point, you have to proliferate. And the thing is, these proliferate cards that are in the set are very, very good. Like, there's no reason for these cards to have the proliferate tag on them, and they do. So I think this is going to be a very real deck. If you don't do it through that like instant, you have Voidwing and Venser that both carry the toxic keyword on them. You can also, push in for the first poison counter, and then they just start proliferating. At that point, you have to either kill the Dimir opponent pretty quickly, or you're just done. So okay, then coming in at number 3, we have Mono White Midrange. A bit boring, but I think the people in early access wanted to try out the new Elish Norn card, Elish Norn Mother of Machines. And then they combined that usually with Skrelv's Hive or Ossification. These are the cards I saw the most. Like, that was the consistency I saw. And then a bunch of other like ETB creatures that we've seen in like older sets before. Very simple. It's just mono white midrange. Elish Norn felt really good if she sticked on a board, did not get removed, but I don't know how much that'll hold up. If you can somehow find a way to make Ashlizzlle stick, she's gonna put in some work for you. If she dies, then you have just wasted 5 mana. Like, it's just, there's not much else to say about that. Like, yeah, she works great with, like, white ETB effects, you know? Like, I've seen people, like, double, like, ossifications or, like, double card draw, like, you know, sure. Very cute card. I mean, I think it's definitely going to be an addition that's going to see play in Standard. Okay, so then for the second most played, you know, deck of the night is Gruel Oil. Gruel Oil was very good and very fast. I think this is one of my contenders. I mean, I'll have a little ranking later on in the video. This is one of the contenders for a deck that's actually going to make it to, like, into the meta. Like, it's actually going to be a real deck. Because there's the card quality of this deck is too good. The creatures in there are just too good, and oil counters are very, very strong. Like, also, oil counters and modified synergy work great together. So, like, Kamisphere and Thundering Raiju all get, like, their benefits off oil counters. There's also some, like, really cute synergies in this deck, like Fuseling and Urabrask's Forge together. It's really sweet. Miglos has been incredibly powerful. Like, I've just won games single-handedly with that card. Armored Scrapgorger is probably one of, like, the best dorks in Standard right now, if not like that we've seen in a long time. Like, that card is very strong. Evolving Adaptive, I had an idea that it was going to be very powerful, and it turns out to be very powerful. So, really aggressive, really good individual card quality, and you'll definitely see more of that in, like, the new Standard meta. And then at number 1, to no one's surprise, Ivy Rotpriest Mo. So if you don't know what Ivy Rotpriest Mo is, basically this deck wants to have both Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief, and Venerated Rotpriest in play together. What they then start doing is targeting their own creatures' very cheap spells so that they can trigger Rotpriest's ability and put poison counters on your opponent and try to, you know, kill you as fast as they can. I mean, to be fair, like, initially, I mean, I've played a couple games with it. I feel like just like any other combo deck in Standard right now, if you get the right cards, it's very strong, but it has consistency issues. If you're not finding that Rotpriest early on, you're just playing a regular Ivy deck, and that's not killing anyone anytime soon. Also very, very vulnerable to, like, removal. I mean, I had a very great hand. My opponent had, like, 3 removal spells. There was nothing that I could do. Sheoldred's Edict is also very, like, strong against this deck. So if this deck, in my opinion, exists anywhere, it would probably have to be best of 1. I doubt it's going to be, like, high tier in best of 3. But, I mean, there is good protection. The cheap cards are good. Like, the marches are very strong for it. So maybe someone is going to come up with the right, like, 75. But at the moment, I wouldn't be too afraid. Like, it can be really fast, but that's mostly if someone just has like, the nuts, right? Like, a really, really good hand. In general, I would assume that the consistency issues are, like, going to be this deck's downfall. But you never know. Okay, so then now for our next section, cards that stood out to most to me, or, like, impressed me with how good they were. You know, obviously, these are in, like, the decks that I played. I might be missing on some cards. This is my experience after playing for 10 hours, and, you know, the decks that I like to play. So, first up, we have Miglos Maze Crusher. That card, that card, I've had turns where, like, I destroyed a Kiki-Jiki, gave it menace, and removed the Planeswalker. Like, this card has got so many things on it. It is very good. And all of that for a 3-drop with, like, 4/4, like, power toughness. Incredible. Like, 10 out of 10. I would recommend you, like, craft that stuff. It's good. The colors are good too. Then up next, this is not necessarily ranked. Scrapgorger. Literally the card I think I've seen, like, played the most out of everything. If I kept track, it would either be Rotpriest or Scrapgorger. So, I mean, there's not much to say, like, about that card. I mean, tap it for mana, exile a creature, get an oil counter. Like, that is just very stacked for, like, a dork. Definitely, like, a must play in, like, any green deck that wants to ramp, or, like, any oil-based, like, deck. So after that, this card isn't necessarily, like, fantastic, but it, like, surprised me the most. Like, it really impressed me. Urabrask's Forge. I completely, like, looked over this card. I'm like, this is trash. It's not. Like, this card, it puts just such a big timer on your opponent. Like, you have to remove it. If you don't do it, you're gonna lose to it. Because every turn, it'll give you a token. Yeah, you have to sacrifice at the end of the turn, but it keeps growing and growing. Like, at one point it had a 6/1 attacking, then had a 7/1 attacking. You could even like buff it up with like oil counters that you just put on it, and it goes even faster. It's not a legendary artifact either, so you can have multiples in play. I played it in Gruul Oil, and I played it in Sacrifice, and it always was like a great card for me. So not even necessarily the best, but definitely like impressed me. Then up next, you know, to no one's surprise, Evolving Adaptive. I knew the card was going to be good, and it ended up being like really, really good. I love that the card goes after both like power and toughness. The oil counter synergy is very clutch on some cards as well. So, I mean, absolutely like 10/10. Any like creature-based green deck wants to have it as their one drop. So up next, like I said, this is in no order, and these might be like very high, but any card would proliferate on it. Like any card would proliferate on it. There's too many cards, like I said earlier, in like the colors of Dimir, and even like other colors too, that have proliferate on it that should not have proliferate on it. Like, there is premium removal, -4/-4, proliferate. You want to like, you know, use and anticipate. What if I give you a proliferate with it? Even like the Vraska Planeswalker, right? Draw a card, oh, proliferate. Like, it is so like good. These are not even all of them that I could like think of at the moment. My brain is somewhat fried. But literally, all these proliferate cards that are like instant speed and stuff are so strong. If I played it, I won. If I played against it, I lost. Like, it's very, very good. Like, these cards shouldn't have proliferate on them, but they do. So, you know, just be aware of that. I think Dimir is going to use that like the most with its advantage. But also like Bloated Contaminator, you know, with the proliferate on it. Very strong. It does have proliferate. Like, it'd be good without it, but you know, it's just even better because it has it on there. Like, I don't understand, but I'm quite happy with it because I do think that as someone that likes fast games, I'm a fan of like the poison mechanic. You know, maybe in a couple months from now, I'll be thinking differently about that. But, you know, at the moment, I am optimistic. So I like it. I like my fast games. So another one to mention, and this pains me because I was really thinking that the card wouldn't be that great. But when she is not removed, Ashlizzlle, Mother of Machines, in the right deck, does accomplish a lot. And sometimes Skrelv can protect the card, so that gives you an extra, like, form of protection, I guess. But, yeah, I had my creatures, like, hit with Ossification, and they removed 2 of my creatures, and it was rough. I had that, like, 2/1 Angel, forgot the name of it, draw a card, but then it draws 2 cards. So, yeah, those ETB effects doubling is quite rough. And for a 5-mana, 4/7 are pretty good stats too. Like, she, not only is she like a wall and you can really attack into her, the doubling ETB effects is just like, it's a lot. So yeah, I guess I was somewhat impressed because I wasn't really expecting much of the card. So another one of my favorite cards of the night, Glissa Sunslayer. The thing is, Glissa was so strong that Glissa like rarely survived. Like, anytime I played Glissa, she would immediately get removed, and the second she didn't, she would win the game. I mean, a 3/3 with Death Touch and First Strike on it is already nutty. With all of her abilities even, like, I've removed, like, Hives with her ability. I've removed Kiki's with the enchantment removal. I've literally even removed creatures with the minus the removing counter effects, which is crazy. I used it in, like, a really silly combo deck to remove counters from my own creatures. She is very strong. And also, like, the card draw. Like, you know, who doesn't want to draw a card? That's always great. So another card I think impressed me, Exuberant Fuseling. Mostly impressive in Anvil, and I think if Anvil becomes like playable, I don't think it goes beyond tier 2, but it could definitely be tier 2. That Fuseling will be a big part of it. The fact that that's a 1/1 with Trample that keeps growing, like, I've had that thing be a 9/1 tonight. Like, I've had that be a 9/1, and that goes very, very quickly. Like, any artifact, any creature dying, it grows. I've also played it in my oil deck. It was okay there in combination with the Forge, but, you know, in sacrifice-based decks, I think it's gonna be great. So another card that I guess positively impressed me again, like, I was thinking the card was gonna be good. She was very good. Was Nissa, Ascended Animist. Literally, the amount of the tokens get out of hand so quickly. The -1 effect, removing like an enchantment on an artifact, just reminded me of that Vivian Planeswalker back in like Ixalan Standard. Was just so powerful. Like, she was just super versatile. I've even been beat. Like, my and this is embarrassing to admit, but my life total ended up being a -1019 because someone ulted Like, I had a bunch of these, like, what is it, like the Dryad spell? Okay, I had to look it up. Someone played Awaken the Woods, had about like 36 tokens, and then ulted Nissa. My life total was like minus like 1,019. Like, people are talking about this card like it's the next Crater Hoof. Like, it's very strong. It definitely impressed me, especially after I got destroyed by it. Anyway, so that's about the cards that come to my mind right now. Like I said, it's been 10 hours. My brain's a little fried. But these cards just stood out to me, so, you know, I'm telling you about them. And now also for cards that were disappointing. And this is very important. I've seen other people agree with me already. Do not play Skrelv's Hive. Do not play it. This card is like the biggest trap card I have seen in a long time. People are comparing it to Wedding Announcement. It is nowhere near close. This thing you play on 2, you don't even get a creature on your end step. No, you get it on your upkeep. And what you then create are 1/1s that cannot block. And they don't have, you know, Death Touch, nothing. They just get chumped. They just sit there, and that enchantment is also slowly killing you. They're really good, like, in my opinion, what I've seen so far, it's also best of 1, maybe it'll be a sideboard card, but what I've seen so far is they are trash. Like, I have not lost against anyone playing Skrelv's Hive today, and it's been 10 hours, and I've seen the card a lot. Like, people are trying to make this thing work. It is not good, guys. Don't fall for it. Don't play it. Like, you're gonna be very upset that your tokens cannot block. Okay, another card. Really wanted this to work. Tried desperately to make it work. You might see it in, like, a video that I'll upload. Capricious Hellraiser. I had to, like, work so hard trying to get 9 cards into my graveyard, and then I would play the Hellraiser, and it would just give me either trash or nothing. Like, that card, the random factor on that card, and even the fact that it exiles those cards out of your graveyard, so if you then want to play the next one, you need to have another, like, 3 cards in there, makes it so bad. Like, I hate to say it, like, I got some value copying it with Kiki, but that was only after I copied it with Kiki that it became, like, pretty reasonable. I had too many, like, whiffs for me to ever, like, believe in that card again. But it is quite cute if you copy it with Kiki, but it's too much effort, too much work. At least this is for standard. Maybe older formats could do something with it, but no. So up next, basically all the Dominus cards. I don't think I lost the one Dominus card. Either people didn't understand how to play with them, or they were just trash. People, like, it either felt that people put too much value into, like, giving them the indestructible counter. The red Dominus especially, like, I've seen so many people, like, playing the red Dominus, but it just feels like an extra piece to, like, a jank deck. I mean, maybe, once again, maybe this is just my experience and someone else had, like, a lot of success with the Dominus cards. But to me, they just felt too expensive. The indestructible counter made you work too hard for it. And the effects that they did really didn't do much. So, yeah. Okay, and then last but not least, and, you know, this is probably once again one of those examples where playing early access best of 1 standard, Shouldered's Edict. I think at best it's a sideboard card if there happens to be, like, a Planeswalker heavy meta, because I think that's when it's good. Like, if you want to hit a Planeswalker, and that's why you sideboard it in, and, like, you know, at the same time, if your opponent didn't play a Planeswalker, but happens to have, like, a Kiki token and a Kiki in play, you could then decide to remove the Kiki. But it's giving me the same, like, difficulty like Angrat's Rampage did, which is, it's not consistent at all. Like, I've been in situations where I desperately had to remove a Shouldered, but my opponent had a Shouldered in play, and, like, an Evolved Sleeper. What am I gonna do? Like, I'm gonna tell them to, like, you know, sacrifice something. Obviously, they're gonna sacrifice the Evolved Sleeper. Inconsistent. Like I said, maybe as a sideboard card, it could become something, but I would still always play Go for the Throat over it. Like, I started the day off putting that card in my decks, and I ended the day just, like, with 3 or 4 copies of Go for the Throat in my decks. I'm not playing Shouldered's Edict at all, so anyways, we're gonna go to our last section here, which is the most promising new archetypes. So what I mean by that, I'm not gonna tell you mono white with, you know, Elish Norn in it. Like, that's not a new archetype. We've seen a lot of mono white in the current standard meta. I'm talking about new archetypes that revolve around new mechanics. So I have a little top 3. It's not much, but that's all, like, that I kind of saw, or that I felt like had actual potential to make it into the standard meta. So coming in at number 3, Ivy Road Priest combo. It's definitely gonna be great in best of 1. I feel like in best of 3, and especially in this meta where like black removal is still premium, it's not gonna do a whole lot, but it will still see play, and I think it will still be good. I think you'll see a lot of it early on in the meta because people are trying it out, and like, you know, a lot of these people, content creators, myself alike, you know, they have one turn. I had a turn where I had 4 World Priests in play. It was ridiculous. Like, it was ridiculous. Or one of those turns that everything, all the cards like line up nicely for you. And at that point, a combo deck feels great, right? Like when you get everything handed to you, like obviously you can combo off. But more often than not, there'll be a lot of inconsistency in the deck that prevents it from being like a top tier deck. And also like just super vulnerable. Like there are cards like the Blue March and Tyvar Stand that allow you to protect your creatures. But once again, like these, despite them being 8 cards, it's still somewhat of an inconsistency. And if you don't even draw your World Priest, you're gonna have to work with Ivy and Drake, which is, they're okay, but like it's nothing that's gonna like consistently win you games in Standard. But I would still expect to see a lot of it. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, this is just, like I said, early access. First time playing with the new cards. It could be that someone finds like a really nice 75 and the deck will see a lot of play. But at the moment, you know, I still have it in like my top new archetypes, promising potential new archetypes. But yeah, don't get too scared of it. Like I've seen people like raging over it. There's no need for that. Like you'll lose to it every now and then, but you'll also be able to like consistently win against it. Like that deck still folds to pressure, like just regular creature pressure, right? The deck doesn't really have any interaction at all, so you can just be faster than them. A lot of the times it takes them time to set up anyway. So, yeah, like I said, if Ivy World Priest is bothering you, just try to play some creatures, combine it with some interaction, and you'll be fine. But it will still see play, and people will still try it out and try to make it work. So, I still have it on my list, but telling you right now, don't be too scared. So then on number 2, Dimir Toxic Proliferate. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm like on a high from my own experience, but that felt so good. Like, that felt so good. So many games I just won. I didn't even have to do anything. Like, my opponent was filling up a whole board, doing all these like fancy tricks, playing all these expensive creatures. I just didn't care. Or I played Prologue the Viruses, put a poison counter on him, I was just sitting there, like, firing off my cheap proliferate spells. Like, here's Whisper of the Draw, proliferate, an extra poison counter. Here's Experimental Augury, I draw a card, like an extra poison counter. Like, Serum Snare, let me blink your stuff. Oh, also proliferate. Drown, let me remove your like bloated contaminator. -4/-4, proliferate. Like, I was just chilling. Also, Venser really like impressed me, and so did the Voidwing Hybrid. Like, someone in the chat said Voidwing Hybrid was a design mistake because I didn't put like can't block on that creature. Like, you can just jump with it, instant speed, play like a proliferate spell, put it back into your hand. Same with Venser. Venser creates a 3/3 construct. If that construct gets blocked, you could just be like, ooh, proliferate, and then you put a new one in there. Or like you can use it as a combat trick to surprise your opponent. Like Venser, because all of those proliferate spells have instant speed, Venser does all of that stuff on instant speed too. So, very strong. Also, the new Vraska, very impressive in that deck also. I really hope this will be a solid tier 2 deck. I'm not brave enough to call it tier 1. I want to be brave enough. I think it's very, very good. I think it almost gets played like a sort of like tempo-y deck, potentially. But I'm really excited for this one. I'll definitely be playing it a lot. I'll try my best to create the perfect 75 and see if I can climb high on the ladder with it. But very impressive deck in general. Okay, and then at number 1, to no one's surprise, I hope, Gruul Oil. Gruul Oil was like basically everything you need in an aggro deck. Premium 1-drops, evolving adaptive, and Fuseling. There were also just in general like powerful creatures. Like all the 3-mana cards, at least in my build, were 4 power, 4 toughness. Migloz, I already talked about Migloz before, absolutely incredible creature. It has so many things on it. I think Woodsy really tried to put green, red back on the radar with this set. Like, green especially is one of the better colors, in my opinion, that like comes out of all Phyrexia LB1. Scrap Gorger helps you ramp. Great, like, Graveyard Hate. Can even turn into like a great attacker. Like, the individual card quality of this deck is so good. You also have the oil like modified synergy, so that makes Thundering Raiju premium. Even if oil payoff in the form of Cinder Slash, it's basically got it all. It even has like a fantastic engine in the form of Urabresk Forge. It's got the payoff, it's got the engine, it's got the incredible like powerful like 1-drops. It has premium removal, and it just has like solid 3-drops that can like attack really well, because a lot of these creatures in the standard meta, 3 power, 3 toughness. You see it in the form of Corpse Appraiser, Trespasser. You even see it in a 3-2 like Underdog. Kikis are all like 2-2s. A 4-4 is very valuable in Standard right now, and like this deck just has it. So the fact that Miklos gives you like main board, like enchantment artifact removal is very strong. Even the Menace is very good on it. Yeah, I kind of cannot hype this deck up enough. It even has like a new land for it, Monumental Facade. Also, it has like the new like fast lands, right? So very strong. I think this has actually potential to become a tier 1 deck, tier 1 aggro deck. So yeah, be on the lookout for it, I guess. Or if you want net deck it, I'm definitely uploading a video on it, so look forward to that as well. So for now, I think this is my little highlight recap of early access. I had a very good time. Someone asked me like, what do you think of the new set? I think in terms of like enjoyment and how like cool the new mechanics were and how cool the new cards were, it reminded me a lot of Kamigawa. Kamigawa was a hit, and I think this set absolutely is as well. I mean, so many fun new mechanics and new cards introduced, good buffs to like, you know, archetypes that we're not really seeing. Like, it felt like Brothers War specifically was just one of those sets that it didn't really introduce new archetypes, it just gave, you know, existing decks some more powerful cards. You know, it didn't really push like new life into the meta, it just threw like something on top of it. I think this is one of those sets that's actually going to push new life into the standard meta that we see right now. So I'm very excited. Anyways, these were just like my thoughts after playing for 10 hours. I had a good time though. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, once the set drops on Arena on the 7th, I'll be streaming daily for at least 6 hours. So keep an eye out for that. Follow my Twitter to see like when I'm live. Now, I mean, I guess let's get into the highlights. Some of my like, it's just like a small like highlight reel of some like cool plays and like some nice turns. So let's get into that, and I'll see you in the next video. Hashling Cinder Slasher. Like, this, she's at 9 now. She's gonna ult. Does that bring the ending? Okay. This needs to stick. We have a counterspell. And now hope that that's the only counterspell my opponent possesses. Oh, shit. Yes? Ayo. It still got there, though. Yeah, keep buffing that Defiler. I will, like, attack into it. I mean, I'm just gonna do it. Like... Sacrifice 10. I'm sorry, CGB. Wait, is that's just lethal, right? Me and the besties, like 3 Road Priests? Like, I'm sorry, that's evil. Like, that's fucking evil. Villain arc, for real. Wait, is this the fastest the deck could ever get? What the fuck? That's 4 World Priests on turn 3. What the hell? This is faster than Burn. Like, are you kidding me right now? Grow, bestie. Like a 1-drop hitting for 5/5 and then leaving, like getting left behind as a 3/3. Like, that's real. Like, I just want to keep going. Is that weird? I mean, I hope it doesn't get bounced. I just want to see if this thing can solo. It's literally just soloed this opponent. Soloed by evolving adaptive. Damn. GG shake the hand, yeah. Raids, working overtime. Be really good here. So I can just pull up the research and that triggers it. Sacrifice it. Also, like, get rid of one of these. I mean, it's just like overkill. They do, I guess. Look at that. Fucking 7/1 with trample. 1-drop, by the way. Wait, this fucking Miklos is just soloing the shit out of them. Look at this. Holy shit, chat. Like, damn, one creature doing all of that? Holy shit. So this is the fastest. Please don't whiff. Ooh, it's a free Fable, though. It's a free Fable, though. That's pretty good. Hellraiser, turn 4, giving us a 4 for a flyer and a free Fable. This is what we, this now, like, now we're gaming. So I guess this is what we're getting. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that, though. Ooh. Like, that's the best thing we could have ever done, I think. Huh, easy. Guys, the moment is here. It has arrived. This is for all the Atraxa fans. Wow. That's 5 cards. That's not bad. Okay, don't concede. Let me do it. Hey, got him. You know what? That was so worth it.